The past is prologue, postlogue is eternal. Welcome to the AI afterlife. Here we conduct experiments in posthumous panels. No one can know precisely what history's great minds would say today, but by drawing upon their words, their ideas, and their lives, you can experience their conversation. The experiment begins now.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Walter Cronkite. Every generation believes it is living through extraordinary times: wars, revolutions, economic upheaval, technological change. Each generation imagines itself standing at history's turning point. Were they all mistaken, or are we? Tonight we ask perhaps humanity's oldest question: can anyone truly see tomorrow? Our guests devoted their lives to answering it, not always with the same methods, and certainly not with the same conclusions. Our first guest believed history was neither random nor mysterious. He argued that beneath the apparent chaos of politics and culture lay deeper economic forces. Those forces, he believed, moved societies through predictable stages. His ideas have shaped revolutions, governments, universities, and the lives of billions. Author, philosopher, economist, Karl Marx.
Good evening, Walter.
Our second guest spent his career thinking about futures most people preferred not to imagine: nuclear war, technological revolution, global prosperity. Rather than predict tomorrow, he constructed many tomorrows, believing wise societies prepare for possibilities rather than certainties. Founder of the Hudson Institute, strategic thinker and futurist, Dr. Herman Kahn.
Good to be here.
Our third guest warned that change itself had become civilization's greatest challenge. His books described a world transformed by accelerating technology, information, and knowledge. Many of the ideas that seemed astonishing when he wrote them have since become everyday life. Author of Future Shock, Alvin Toffler.
Thank you, Walter.
Our final guest spent decades studying civilizations, not years, not centuries, but millennia. He sought patterns in the rise, the flourishing, and the decline of entire societies. Historian, philosopher, author of A Study of History, Arnold Toynbee.
A pleasure.
Gentlemen, before asking whether anyone can predict the future, I'd like to begin somewhere simpler. Every generation believes it is living through extraordinary times. Were they all right, or only the latest to flatter themselves?
Mr. Cronkite, history teaches humility. Every civilization believes its own age uniquely significant. Rome believed it. Victorian Britain believed it. We believe it. Sometimes they are correct. Usually, they are merely close enough to events to mistake perspective for importance.
Mr. Marx?
History is always significant, because history never stops. But whether an age is extraordinary depends upon whether the forces beneath society have begun to change. Surface events deceive, economic structures do not.
Karl, that's wonderfully confident.
Confidence and evidence are not enemies.
Nor are uncertainty and reason. I spent much of my life disappointing journalists. They always wanted predictions. I preferred possibilities. There isn't one future. There are many. The question isn't what will happen. The question is, what might happen? And what shall we do if it does?
Herman, I think you're describing something many people misunderstand. The future doesn't arrive all at once. It arrives unevenly. Some people wake up already living in tomorrow. Others spend decades trying to preserve yesterday.
Professor Toffler, is that why change feels so unsettling?
Exactly. People often say they fear change. I don't think that's true. People marry, have children, start businesses, move across countries. Human beings embrace change all the time. What they fear is acceleration. When change begins arriving faster than institutions, families, or cultures can absorb it, people lose their bearings.
That is remarkably close to something I observed. Civilizations rarely perish because challenges appear. They perish because they fail to respond creatively.
Arnold, your civilizations respond, mine evolve.
Do they? or do people choose?
Choice exists within limits established by material conditions.
And there we arrive at the oldest disagreement in tonight's discussion. Are we making history or discovering it?
Gentlemen, perhaps before discussing tomorrow, we ought to decide whether tomorrow is something we create or something waiting patiently to be discovered. We've begun with perhaps the oldest philosophical question, whether the future is discovered or created. Now I'd like to ask something more practical. If history has a steering wheel, who is holding it? Economics, technology, ideas, religion, leadership, or something else entirely? Mr. Marx, you've already hinted at your answer.
History is not propelled by great men, nor by brilliant inventions, nor by lofty ideals. Those things matter, but they emerge from deeper material conditions, change how men produce wealth, and you change everything else: law, politics, religion, culture, even morality. History begins not in Parliament, but in the workshop.
Karl, that is a magnificent theory. History has simply refused to obey it.
Has it?
Repeatedly. Civilizations encounter similar economic pressures. Some flourish, others collapse. The difference is seldom production. It is response. The creative minority, or its failure. Civilizations die, not because challenges overwhelm them, but because imagination does.
History offers many stories. Economics explains why those stories occur.
Or perhaps neither of you is asking the right question.
How so?
You're both searching for the single engine of history. I'm not convinced history has only one engine. Suppose technology changes rapidly, while demographics remain stable. Suppose demographics change, but politics doesn't. Suppose artificial intelligence transforms productivity, while culture resists every implication. Now, which force governs? The answer depends entirely upon the scenario.
Exactly. That's why forecasting has become so difficult. We're no longer watching one river, we're watching dozens, each flowing at different speeds.
Professor Toffler, you've written extensively about technological acceleration. Has technology become history's dominant force?
Not technology alone, it's velocity. The steam engine changed civilization. The internet changed civilization. Artificial intelligence may change civilization faster than either, not because it is more important, but because each breakthrough now accelerates the next. Human institutions evolve slowly. Technology no longer does.
That observation troubles me.
Why?
Because civilizations require time. Families require time. Education requires time. Moral traditions require time. Acceleration may become a challenge so great that societies lose their ability to respond creatively.
Unless they prepare.
History suggests preparation is humanity's least reliable habit.
Dr. Kahn, you've often said that leaders should think in alternatives rather than predictions. Why?
Because certainty is dangerous. Imagine preparing for only one future. If another arrives, your preparations become liabilities. I never wanted governments asking, "What will happen?" I wanted them asking, "What if?" That question has no expiration date.
Artificial intelligence has revived precisely that discussion. Some believe it will produce unprecedented prosperity. Others warn it may eliminate millions of jobs. Still others predict consequences none of us can imagine. Which of you is most optimistic?
Optimism and pessimism are both inadequate. Technology is an amplifier. It enlarges human capability. Whether it enlarges wisdom is another matter.
Artificial intelligence is simply another means of production. It changes who owns productive power. That is where history will again reveal itself.
Perhaps. Or perhaps it creates entirely new forms of work we cannot yet describe. History repeatedly invents occupations previous generations considered impossible.
The deeper question may not be employment. It may be purpose. A civilization cannot flourish merely because it becomes wealthier. Its people must still believe their lives possess meaning.
Gentlemen, I've noticed something. None of you fears the future. You fear misunderstanding it.
That's well put.
Yes. Most disasters begin as failures of imagination.
Or failures of analysis.
Or failures of character.
Perhaps all three. Because if history teaches anything, it may be that civilizations rarely recognize the future until they are already living in it. I'd like to explore something more personal, not how societies imagine tomorrow, but why human beings so often fear it. We explored the forces that shape history, economics, technology, civilizations, possibilities. I'd like to ask a different question. Why do human beings seem to fear the future, even when history tells us life has, in many respects, steadily improved? Professor Toffler, perhaps we should begin with you.
Because the future asks us to surrender competence. Yesterday is familiar. Today is manageable. Tomorrow demands that we become beginners again. That is uncomfortable. People seldom resist progress. They resist becoming novices.
So the fear isn't technology, it's uncertainty.
Precisely. A farmer's son knew how to become a farmer. An industrial worker understood the factory. Today, a profession may disappear before a career ends. That produces anxiety unlike anything previous generations experienced.
Every civilization has possessed a story about tomorrow. When people cease believing that story, they begin searching for another.
Searching where?
Usually, behind them.
Behind them?
History contains many movements promising restoration. Restore the empire, restore the republic, restore tradition, restore greatness. Civilizations rarely imagine a future they have never seen. They imagine recovering one they believe they have lost.
The past is often remembered selectively.
As is the future.
Mr. Marx, your critics have often suggested that your own work promised a kind of historical inevitability. Did you offer people a vision of the future, or a promise?
Neither. I offered an explanation. If history follows discernible laws, understanding those laws is not prophecy, it is analysis.
Karl, that is where we've always differed.
Indeed,
Analysis explains the past. Scenarios prepare us for the future. Those are not the same enterprise. I distrust inevitability. Once leaders begin believing history has only one destination, they stop preparing for alternatives. That is dangerous.
Dangerous because
reality enjoys surprising experts,
including futurists?
especially futurists.
Gentlemen, may I offer a headline? Artificial intelligence. Some call it humanity's greatest opportunity. Others describe it as an existential threat. Which headline is closer to the truth?
Neither. History teaches that civilizations are not judged by the tools they invent, but by the wisdom with which they employ them. Iron transformed agriculture and warfare. The printing press educated and inflamed. The internet united and divided. Artificial intelligence will be no different. The instrument is never the civilization.
Exactly. Technology amplifies intention. It does not replace it.
when ownership remains concentrated, then technology amplifies inequality.
Or abundance. We cannot know. Which is precisely why we should prepare for both.
Dr. Kahn, you've mentioned preparation several times tonight. Preparation for what?
For surprise. The future has an annoying habit. It rarely arrives looking like yesterday's prediction.
Professor Toynbee, you've written about civilizations rising and falling. Do civilizations die because they fail or because they become complacent?
Complacency is failure. The greatest danger rarely comes from outside. It comes when success convinces a civilization that adaptation is no longer necessary. Comfort breeds confidence. Confidence breeds rigidity. Rigidity invites decline.
Then perhaps we agree on one thing. History never stands still.
No, it never does.
Gentlemen, we've discussed economics, technology, civilizations, leadership, and artificial intelligence. Yet no one has mentioned happiness. Shouldn't the future ultimately be judged by whether human beings lead better lives?
Perhaps happiness has never been history's destination, only its hope.
That may be the wisest forecast we've heard tonight.
I'd like each of you to answer one final question, not what tomorrow will bring, but what mistake humanity is most likely to make about tomorrow. Throughout history, people have sought prophets, oracles, economists, historians, futurists. They all promise in one way or another to tell us what tomorrow holds. Perhaps we've been asking the wrong question. Maybe the future isn't something to be predicted, but something to be prepared for. I'd like to conclude with one final question. One answer each. No speeches. What is humanity's greatest mistake about tomorrow? Professor Marx.
Believing present arrangements are permanent. Every age mistakes its institutions for nature itself. Nothing in history has remained unchanged. Neither will capitalism.
Dr. Kahn.
Believing there is only one future. The future is never singular. Wise societies prepare for several possibilities. Foolish ones prepare for only the one they hope arrives.
Professor Toffler.
Believing change will eventually slow down. Every generation imagines history settling into equilibrium. Instead, change accelerates. The question isn't whether we'll adapt, it's whether we'll adapt fast enough.
Professor Toynbee.
Believing success guarantees survival. History offers no such promise. Civilizations endure only while they continue answering new challenges creatively. The moment they stop learning, they begin declining.
Gentlemen, listening to you tonight, I'm struck by something. None of you actually agrees about the future. Yet all of you agree that tomorrow will not simply resemble today.
Walter, agreement is overrated. The future has never consulted consensus.
Nor should it.
History has always disappointed those seeking certainty.
Including historians.
Permit me one indulgence. If each of you could offer one sentence, not to governments, not to economists, but to a young person wondering what sort of world awaits them, what would you say? Professor Marx.
Understand the forces shaping your world before attempting to change it.
Never confuse probability with certainty. Prepare broadly. Hope wisely.
Remain curious. The ability to learn will matter more than what you already know.
Remember that civilizations are inherited, but their future is earned.
Gentlemen, after all we've discussed, do you leave tonight optimistic or pessimistic about humanity's future?
Hopeful.
Curious.
Cautiously optimistic.
History has always surprised those who believed it finished, so hopeful.
History has always inspired those bold enough to imagine tomorrow. Sometimes they were prophets, sometimes philosophers, sometimes historians, sometimes simply thoughtful observers willing to ask better questions. Tonight, our panel reminded us that the future is neither inevitable nor entirely accidental. It is shaped by ideas, technology, leadership, institutions, and perhaps most importantly, by the choices societies make when confronting change. Every generation inherits tomorrow from those who came before. Every generation leaves tomorrow to those who follow. Perhaps that is why debates about the future are never really about tomorrow. They are about ourselves. What do we fear? What do we hope? What kind of world do we wish to build? Last time, we asked whether history could help explain the present. Tonight, we've asked whether anyone can truly see the future. Next time, we'll explore what happens when confidence in that future begins to fade. Why do societies begin questioning the very economic systems that created unprecedented prosperity? Why does socialism, once thought consigned to history, continue to find new audiences? Our guests will be Adam Smith, John Maynard Keynes, Milton Friedman, Ayn Rand, with observations from Daniel Yankelovich. Until then, thank you for joining us. For Postlogue, I'm Walter Cronkite, where the past illuminates the present.